Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. My husband is deployed and has been for almost 11 months. We have a 3-year-old daughter and a 14-month-old son. My sister-in-law, 43, has an 11-year-old daughter who she allows to run amok. Last month, she asked her best friend to move in with her to help pay bills, and this sparked an affair between her husband and said friend. I feel bad for her, I truly do. But there are many reasons why I don't want her to move in. The biggest one, she now calls me to tell me all the time that men are pigs and that my husband is probably cheating on me. Mind you, this is her brother. She doesn't have a job and refuses to get one. She has not worked in 16 years. Her daughter has literally no discipline, and every time they have visited, she has left my home in complete shambles with my kids' toys broken and destroyed. Her daughter also lies like a rug and she laughs it off and says that isn't a big deal. Example, her daughter drew all over my spreadsheet for work that was completely finished and due the very next morning. I didn't have time to make another one and had to spend several hours trying to use whiteout. She even wrote her name on it. The kid outright denied it and tried blaming my oldest, who only scribbles. Her mom said she didn't do it. And I'm not going to break her spirits simply because she drew on something. Put your stuff up for safekeeping next time you invite us for a visit. I did not invite her. She showed up unannounced. She always says things like, "What are you getting your favorite sister-in-law for her birthday?" Or, "Since you love me so much, you should buy me this." Anyways, I just can't do it. So she asked last week, or rather told me, "Well, it's final. Greg and I are over. Teresa and I are going to come crash at your place." Literally like an outright demand as if I owe her. So I said, "No, you're not." She freaked out and asked me why, and I was completely honest with her, down to every last detail. I simply don't have enough patience and I don't want her in my house while I'm not there to make sure her daughter doesn't destroy my house. Her husband refuses to leave, and the mistress has taken over the bedroom. He says that since he has been supporting her for 16 years, and she hasn't paid for literally anything, that he is not obligated to leave because it's his house. Her name isn't on it, and he made her sign a prenup upon marriage. So essentially, she will get nothing in this divorce. My husband called and I told him what happened. He said, "You told her no, right?" So he's 100% behind me on this one. But my brother-in-law is saying that I'm a stupid bitch for not being more understanding because her husband cheated, and staying in the house with him and his mistress is going to cause a mental plummet. Am I the a-hole? She can't afford to go anywhere else and no one has room to house her. Not the a-hole, OP. Don't let her move in because she will not move out. That's a problem she and her cheating husband have to figure out. And if she has any kind of self-esteem, she would throw him out and make him pay. And for your brother-in-law, if he's so worried for his sister, he should man up and help her himself. Find her a new home, pay for her bills, whatever. Right at the moment, he's just another a-hole happy to drop his problem of a sister in your lap. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. If her cheating husband wants his wife out of the house, then he can pay for it. Why are they involving you in their mess? This is hers and her husband's mess. You owe her nothing, and even though you didn't have to, you gave her an explanation and she's further proving that living with her would be a nightmare. And if she's not working, then her and her child would be dependent on you and bossing you around non-stop. Forget what brother-in-law says and pay attention to your intuition and her patterns of behavior. Sounds to me like you absolutely made the right call and are happy to hear your husband backs you. Just because you have house space doesn't mean you have mental space, especially for all that drama. Tell her, "Girl, bye, don't be a shitty person," and maybe you'll have more options when you're put out. Hopefully you hold your boundary without guilt. You don't owe her a damn thing, especially never at the risk of your peace. You're not the a-hole for not wanting this carnival of chaos in your life. No sane person would. Regarding the bratty, destructive kid, there's a sentence I found extremely useful since I first uttered it at age 12. Control your kid or I will. I've used it for about 40 years now, and it's never failed me. The outcome is one of three. 1. They control their kid. 2. They give me permission to control their kid. Or 3. They take umbrage and never inflict themselves, their poor parenting or their bratty kid on me again. Win-win-win. Story 2. At a family dinner, my 22-year-old cousin had about 8 drinks over 3 hours. After dessert, he announced he was leaving and grabbed his car keys. I told him he should stay at my parents' place. He kept insisting he was fine, and we fought about it until ultimately my uncle intervened, said that if his son said he was fine, then he was fine, and pushed me away. When my cousin left, I memorized his license plate number, called the cops, and told them he was a drunk driver, complete with information about his usual route back to his school. They ended up pulling him over, and he didn't pass a sobriety test. He now has a DUI on his record. I was open about calling the cops. It was not an anonymous tip. I thought he was risking his life and the lives of others. My family is furious with me because they think it was a short drive. He wasn't that drunk. He was twice the legal limit. I'm potentially messing up his life for a dumb mistake. He might get kicked out of his fraternity now in his senior year, and his job offer after school is in jeopardy. And most importantly, that family doesn't do that to family. I think family doesn't get to break the law and put others in danger. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely not, OP. Your cousin still gets zero sympathy from me. Hopefully he will learn his lesson and won't just be bitter and spiteful. If he or anyone else there didn't want to deal with the consequences of a DUI, he could have easily found another way home. He could have gotten a ride from any of your family present, or he could have gotten an Uber or Lyft ride. Or, shit, just do as you suggested and just stay at your parents'. Your cousin had so many options to avoid this particular outcome, and he chose none of them. That is entirely his own fault. Now for some comments. Oh boy, this is personal for me. You're not the a-hole. A good friend of mine was killed by a drunk moron college kid, and I wish he had a conscientious friend or relative call the cops on him. Your cousin may not ultimately be a bad person, but he did a shitty thing, and your uncle enabled it. They'll have to live with the consequences of those actions, and just try to be glad the consequences weren't much worse. Not the a-hole, you did the right thing. Thank you for ensuring a drunk driver was caught before someone was hurt. I'll never forget watching a mother sob over her dead baby after an idiot decided he wasn't that drunk. There is never an excuse for that. He could have murdered someone. On a side note, your entire family is full of a-holes. If he didn't want his life messed up, he never should have risked innocent lives. This is the clearest case of not the a-hole I think I've ever seen on this sub. Your family was completely crazily, wackadoodle wrong, and you were 100% right. Your cousin was the a-hole for driving like that. His dad was an a-hole for enabling him. Must be a pretty common occurrence, and your family is out of their minds for giving you shit for it. Let's be clear, you didn't mess up his life, he did. He should be effing grateful that the manner in which it ended up messed up was just a DUI, rather than his being responsible for seriously hurting someone. And if a DUI was what it took for him to hear the message that it's really truly not okay for him to drive drunk, then hooray for a DUI, you did good. Story 3. About a week ago, my older sister and I were having a huge fight over who finished the pastrami in the fridge or some stupid shit like that. Later, after we had both dispersed to our respective rooms, she came banging on my door telling me she wanted to talk about the situation and resolve it, and I better come downstairs now or she'll do something I wouldn't like. Naturally, I refused and told her where she could shove it. She then swept into my room like an effing hurricane, grabbed my laptop where I was working on my medical school personal statement, and smashed, and I mean absolutely obliterated, my beautiful 17.3-inch laptop against the wall. I was so shocked that I didn't say a word, I just cried. A few days later, we had a talk about what happened, and the underlying issue between that may have caused her anger. She's not crazy. I don't think she was actually mad just about the pastrami. During this talk, I apologized for not taking her feelings into account. and that I should have probably come to speak to her. All was well and fine, till I brought up the laptop she was obviously going to have to replace. Then she got this smug look on her face and explained to me that no, she was not going to replace my laptop, not now nor ever. I was like, she explained that since I could have avoided the situation by just coming downstairs, that it's my fault my laptop was broken. I was like, then she went upstairs and carried on with her day. Okay, fine, not a problem. Since then, I've been thinking of a way I could get back at her. Maybe break her brand new 50-inch TV? Nah, then I'll still have to replace my own laptop. And since she's my mom's favorite, I'll probably have to replace the TV anyways. And so on till it hits me. I could just take a laptop, hide it, and ransom it for my laptop replacement money back. If she refuses, I'll just sell a laptop. It was worth way more than mine anyways, and replace my laptop plus keep any profits. Am I an a-hole for this? Is there a better way I can get my laptop replacement money? Update. The situation has been resolved. She has agreed to pay for the laptop, since the alternative is my taking her to small claims and her having that on her record. It's messed up, I know, but I got my new and honestly slightly better laptop. Thanks for all your help, Reddit. Glad you got a replacement laptop, OP. Your sister needed to replace the one she spoiled when she got mad at you. She shouldn't destroy your property if she doesn't want to buy you a replacement. I hope you both talk again and find ways to resolve the issues you two have with each other if you can, and I hope she's learned a lesson or two about not destroying someone else's property. Now for some comments. I have to say, I would have done the same. And you're not the a-hole, but I don't think it's a very good idea. She will probably steal something from you to make it even, because for her, your laptop was your fault, and so you stole her laptop and she will get revenge. I don't think you're the a-hole. I would hold onto her laptop and use it, especially if you're in med school and need it for your study. Selling it might be drastic, and her not getting her computer back could make her buy you a new one. Also, consider getting a parent involved. I assume you're both adults, but this anger from her warrants outside intervention. No, you're not entitled to sell her laptop back. Don't sink to her level. Are you in the US? Take her to court. It's pretty easy to start a case in small claims court. See if you can record her admitting to smashing it before you do. Please check that the recording is legal where you are first. Let us see what a judge thinks of her argument that you're actually responsible for the damage because you wouldn't come downstairs.